Hey guys, Mike here, and today I'm going to go over and introduce variables in OCAML. So, what are variables? Variables are little buckets, think of them, that hold values for us. So, say we wanted to make an OCAML, and here I'm on Try OCAML Pro. We could easily just go into Visual Studio by running our command. I'll actually show an example just if you want to do it on there. I mean, we'll eventually have to go back to Visual Studio Code, but for now it's pretty simple and quick to do this. So say I wanted to make a calculator application where I take in two numbers and I multiply them. You know, if what we know right now, we can't really do that because the user might want to pass in any two variables or any two, not variable, but numbers, right? We can't really necessarily say, okay, the user could pass in 5 and 6, so it's multiplied. I mean, the ranges are limited. So it would be nice if we had a way to take their input and represent it on our end, and that's variable. So here's how a variable declaration works. We say let our variable name, I'll call variable name, um, equal whatever our value is. So it could be 5, and of course double semicolons. But if you're on Try OCaml, it doesn't need that. It'll automatically do it for you. So now it says we have a value called variable name, and it's of an integer. It's an integer type. That just tells us what type the variable is, and it's equal to 5. And if we do variable name, we just print it out. It's going to return us 5, and then of course it gives us the type right there. It's a type integer. So what we could do with this, we could say, well, variable name plus 1, and that's equal to 6, and we could do all types of operations with this. So say we had two numbers, so we had like, okay, let's make a little calculator application. Now we'll just say let number, we'll just say first input, so we want two numbers and I guess we'll multiply them, and let first input equal, say 4. Of course we don't, we didn't make a graphical user interface of an actual calculator. We have no way of receiving what the user wants to write to the calculator other than, asking them by hand. So say I'm the user and I want to multiply 4 times 6. Alright, so we'll say let second input equal 6. Alright, and hey, I can return, well, first input, and we want to multiply them in this case, times second input. If I could type, there we are. And it'll output 24. So you can always change these. So if you're familiar with any other type of programming language, you might be tempted to do the following. You might be saying, okay, first input, now let's say I want to multiply 5 times 3. 5 equals 5. And this will not work, because if you remember in the last video, when I went over the types of booleans and all that, I said that an equal sign is a way to measure equality. So we're not necessarily reassigning it. We're saying first input is equal to 5. Is that true or false, right? It's an equal sign, just like in math. Is it equal? So if you're new to programming, don't worry about it. But if you come from another programming language, actually most other programming languages, you might be confused. So how do we reassign it? Well, we have to use the same syntax. We say let first input be equal to, what do we want to do? 5 times 3, I think. Yeah. And now that's equal to 5, and we have to say let second input be equal to 3. And then we can do our first times second input. Actually, I'll just type it out. First times second input. And that gets us 15. There we go. So our calculator's working right now. So with that in mind, we can also represent just more than, and also we can create, this is an important note, if you have a variable that's composed of two other variables, so let's say we want a variable called product, let product equal, let's see here, oh wait, no, well let me copy and paste, okay, I'll just type it out, first input times second input right? And that's 15. If I say and then I change the value of first input, and then I say what's product, it's still 15. So if your variables changed, and one variable is composed of other variables, we have right here, product doesn't change. You have to declare it like so. So variables can also take other values other than integers. We could say let x equal, name or something, and then text, and we get name. So we can even have booleans too. So let b equal, true. Sorry about that, true, and it's equal to true. We can even have results. So we could say let boolean be, in parentheses, it's just like mathematics. It's like order of operations. We could say let boolean equal first input is greater than 50. Is it? I don't know. We'll find out. And if we type out b, it turns out to be false. So we can let booleans equal, the variables equal boolean expressions, strings, and all that types of stuff. Alright, thanks guys. See you in the next video.